On day 2 in our panel, Secrets to Growing a YouTube Channel. My name is Sean Chandler. This is
Cody Leach,
Chris Parker,
Austin Burke,
John Flickinger.
And I am just so excited that we were able to get this panel together talking about this specific subject. On this panel, we have 5 different silver play buttons between all of us. And this YouTube thing, most of us were just like you guys, consuming YouTube videos until something clicked and took off. And it changed the trajectory of our life. And so that's what makes us so excited to talk about this, because this content literally changed the trajectory of my life, their lives as well. So with that said, if we can go right down the panel, if you can just, in like 3 sentences, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet? What's your story?
Yeah,
and literally only 3 sentences.
Oh, God, okay. So I'm at youtube.com/3cfilms. I started in 2016. Luckily went full-time 2019. I mainly talk about movie news and movie reviews, just trying to have fun with movies.
That was like 4 sentences.
Okay, come on. Cody.
How dare you?
I'm Cody Leach. That's also the name of my YouTube channel. I also have a channel called Cody Leach Game Chamber for gaming stuff. 2016 summer, I used to do a lot of travel, listen to a lot of podcasts, tried to do my own in my walk-in closet, immediately went into YouTube, and a year and a half ago went full-time.
My name is Sean Chandler. My YouTube channel is Sean Chandler Talks About. And I was someone watching YouTube videos of other people for a long time, and I thought, hey, I can do that. So I started doing it, and I failed miserably for about 3 years, got no traction, gave up every time I started. And then in 2016, found myself unemployed and in rehab. And since I had some extra free time, went back to my love of talking movies. And within 2.5 years, I was able to turn my nerdy hobby into a full-time career. And now I'm getting to speak to all of you wonderful people. How many sentences was that?
17.
12 and a half.
Uh-oh, I'm in trouble. You only get half a sentence.
Oh, no. My name is Austin Burke. I have been reviewing movies since 2017, went full-time in 2019. I started in my closet in college. I had a green screen and found a new passion and love for filmmaking, movies, and specifically streaming. And now I'm full-time like everybody else.
And down at the end, Mr. Flickinger.
My name's John Flickinger. I also started in a very confined space known as my parents' basement in 2010. I've been talking about movies since on YouTube, and love it.
I think all 4 of us watched your YouTube channel before we started. So you were one of our inspirations, which is kind of fun and exciting to be able to share the panel.
I'm an old man on YouTube. Been doing it 13 years. But
now you're stuck with us.
There's no pension, though.
But I'm the old man on the panel. I'm in my 40s now, so you're still young and youthful.
I'll take what I can get.
All right, with all of that said, we're going to dive into it. Basically, we're going to look at 4 questions. What's our advice for people that want to start on YouTube? What's our advice for people that want to grow on YouTube? Third, what's the biggest mistakes that you see people making when it comes to YouTube? And the final one, what's kind of the secret to longevity, to keep going with how crazy YouTube is and with all the changes and everything? So kicking things off with, what's our advice for someone that wants to start a YouTube channel or that is just starting? And my first piece of advice would be, just do it. Don't overthink it. Everyone wants to start with something awesome. I'll just tell you right now, your first video is going to be your worst video. Don't overthink it. It's going to be bad. Like with anything else, the first time you ride a bike, you crash into a tree. That's going to be your first video on YouTube as well. So just start. There's no perfect timing. I think every single one of us would say, I wish I'd started sooner. So just start, and you'll figure it out by trying with everything that you do.
Yeah, it's not just your first video. Your first 100 videos are going to suck. And that's the draining part. The ego gets shut down. You'll spend hours making a video to get 5 views. 4 of those are your grandma not knowing how YouTube works. And it hurts. But then something will happen on that 101th video, and you'll just go. It only takes 1 video to take off, and you might be set.
Something to do, too, is to take inspiration from all the channels that you love. Like, make videos that you yourself would want to watch. And that's how you learn how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to feel, how it's supposed to be edited, the timing of everything. Eventually, you grow out of that. We'll get into that. Don't stay in that phase too long, but that's also a good way to start, is just make what you watch.
I heard someone phrase it as, like, when you're starting out, it's okay to be a cover band.
Yeah.
Even the Beatles, when they started as a band, they were a cover band. They played other people's songs. When you're starting out, there's like 1,000 things you have to figure out when it comes to doing YouTube video editing. It's awkward talking into a camera by yourself and not coming off just stale as can be. Trying to be energetic like this when you don't have a room full of people, it's weird. You have to figure all that out. So start out as a cover band. You can do what other people are doing. When you're starting, we'll have different advice when we get past it. When you're starting, it's okay to take major inspiration from people.
Do something you're passionate about. Don't just start because you see someone else on YouTube and, oh, they're doing a good job. Let's talk about lawnmowers. No, do something that you genuinely have a care for. And from there, I think you'll be able to find out that, okay, maybe I'm built for this, maybe I'm not. But if you are, then you'll want to go back and keep making videos, and that's how you grow.
I would say don't become a talking head just to talk. I would bring a personality. Sometimes you don't have to be the best on YouTube, but if you just have a personality someone can connect with, that's all it takes. And you can have a career on YouTube just by that.
And I think that's a key one of whatever you feel you're doing talking to a camera, you're probably a lot more restrained than you think. You have to amp it up a little bit just to even like get to where you think you're at. So have a personality and crank it up a little bit. If you're ridiculous and you look at it in the edit and you go, oh, that's bad, you don't have to post it. But at least try cranking it up and figure out where there's something that has a little bit of personality to it. Let's kind of maybe get in a little bit of embarrassment mode. In your starting phase, what are some of like the things you did that are just like, oh, that was embarrassing? Like for me, I put out a video. I did a trailer reaction to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 as a live stream. Last minute, I just threw it up and did it. My son walks in during the live stream and he's picking his nose. He's literally digging for gold, finger up the nose, the whole live stream. And I didn't do the settings right. And so then it's like going, because I didn't do anything right. And of course, this is the video that YouTube decided to push out to everybody. The one with this going on, everything's awful, 16,000 views at a point in time where it was like, wow, so many people are watching. Oh, I embarrassed myself in front of a lot of people. Some of those early stories.
Embarrassing. I could say I wanted to be almost like a cartoon character in my mind. I wanted to wear the same thing every video so that like I could have an iconic look. And it became really disgusting after a while because that shirt I kept wearing got so wrinkly, got so putrid after on, and you could see the progression from that shirt going white to just so many overwashes, changed colors. I had to switch it up. So even if you have a plan set forth, you can change it. No one's really even watching you in the beginning. Mix it up.
The easiest trap that I fell into is overlooking that final little view of your edited video to make sure there's no missed mistakes. You get into rush mode, you get into robot mode, everything's good. I've done what I always do. You post it out there, and then 18 minutes later, you got like 17 comments with a time code where you made a mistake. My classic
That's
one.
the worst.
Yeah.
The worst.
You see a time code, your heart just sinks. You're like, oh God, what did I do? So I had an M. Night Shyamalan review, or a ranking, and there was a spot where I'm like, my number 2. And then I just left it. Found out 20 minutes later after 10,000 people had seen it.
One of the videos that changed the trajectory of my life, it took off. My first video to get over 100,000 views had 2 different oh no. What? I love it so much that this went viral, but why on earth did I do that? How did I miss that?
I had a minute of uncut footage in my Jungle Cruise trailer reaction where I stop talking, I sit back, I start yelling at my roommate, and I'm saying, hey man, what are we going to eat today? And it was literally 60 seconds of a full conversation. I upload it, and every comment is saying, hey, that's pretty cool, or hey, was that supposed to be in there? Right? So sometimes it works in your favor, but other times you go back, revisit it, and you are so embarrassed, and that was the case with that.
I'll have people message me like, oh, I love it, the fact that you leave in your bloopers on purpose. Like, yeah, on purpose. Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I'd go with the first 5 years of my YouTube videos. Every single one are a cringe fest. I'd say those are all the most embarrassing moments of my life. It's just 5 years worth of
5
them.
years.
Yeah.
All right, second topic. What's our advice if you want to grow? Because everyone loves to start, but when you start transitioning from that thought of this is a hobby to what if this can be something more, what does it take to do that? So I'll kick this one off, send it right over to you, Austin.
Yeah.
What's your advice?
Well, when I started, I said, I want to be, the next Jeremy Johns, Chris Stuckman, the flick pick. It's you want to do movie reviews. You want to be in that space because you love that space, right? But then I found out, well, I want to stand out. I want to do something different. So my biggest piece of advice,
and that's you start as a cover band,
Yes.
but
Yes.
if you're starting to be a cover bands don't change the world. Therefore,
absolutely find your niche. Find the thing that allows you to stand out from the crowd. How many movie review channels are there? Well, right here, there's 5, right? So you want to do something different. I think everyone on this panel has that. For me, it was finding, well, people actually watch Netflix. People watch streaming services. Let's cover the movies. This random movie, my first one ever was The Open House. Nobody's heard of it. It was terrible, but I covered it. It got 50,000 views, and I said, no one is talking about this film. Maybe that's the key. And so that kind of became my shtick for a while. It allowed me to stand out, but still do the thing I love, and that is review movies, blockbusters, and all of the other things.
speaking of niches, for you, that was a little bit of kind of your growth.
Yeah, so I had a similar path where I'm like, I want to do what Jeremy Johns does. I want to do what Stuckman does. And so I'm going to review everything. This was also when MoviePass was a thing, so we could see everything for a little bit of money. And then eventually I wanted, I love horror movies. I'd like to do a horror review series. And so I started talking about Freddy. And then very quickly found out that the horror community was such a tight-knit group and I fit in so well. And then the rest is history, basically. I was like, well, there's not enough people talking about horror the way that I want to, so I'll be that guy.
For me, I looked at my numbers and I went, if I do a movie review, I get 100 views. If I do a ranking of a franchise, I get 500 views. I'm not great at math, but one of these is more than the other. And that little thought, I guess I'll do a weekly ranking. That thought changed the trajectory of my life and led to this exact moment right here. And even before we started, people were talking to me. Everybody walked up and they went, oh, I love your ranking videos. I found that thing where they know me for something. So find your niche, that place where you can offer unique value, something different that stands out. You're not just another one of whatever everyone else is doing. What advice do you have for us?
Yeah, for me, my specific niche, so I went through 50, 100 videos of just reviewing, and those videos never took off because review channels are a dime a dozen. If that's the only thing you plan to do, you're not going to get anywhere unless you review a movie super unique, and even then that's hard to do. What I found my success is, again, I went to a niche audience. Chucky. I grew up loving Chucky. I love Child's Play and all that, and 2019 they came out with a remake. Mark Hamill was the voice of that Chucky. I wanted to talk about it because I'm like, I'm going to give it a chance. I'll see if that movie's good. And just by being the one person on the internet going, I know remakes suck, this one might be fun, guys. That was
2 people on the internet,
you're right,
sir.
You're right. Yes, he also liked it. You're right. But just being someone servicing videos and doing something positive where everyone else was crapping on it, it was different enough that people wanted to click, and it grew ever since, thanks to Chucky.
And Chucky, we trust.
Yeah, well, when I started, I felt like there was a void on YouTube for like a conversation. There's a lot of people talking to the camera, talking about movies, but I felt like I wanted more than that because I was a lonely dude in my parents' basement. I needed friends. So I sort of was like, I can be someone's friend on YouTube that don't have that to have a conversation about film. So that was kind of the niche I filled up at first. And over the years, I've tried a slew of different genres, ranking videos, review videos. And so I would just say, talk to your audience like they're your best friend and you just want to talk about whatever topic it is. And that's movies for me.
Even if you look at some of the interactions that we've had here, people can talk to us like they feel like they've already had a conversation with us.
Right.
Because there's that conversational nature to how we do our channels where we're not just a news reporter talking about things. We're like a person that you might interact with. For example, you might interact with one of us right here at this little panel. So I think having that just builds that connection with people. I think 3 things when it comes to making a video that really gets someone to click. You have to actually, that's the key thing. If you want your channel to grow, obviously you need people to get them to click on your video. That's really obvious. But what does it take to get someone to click on your video?
Screamy face thumbnails.
We'll get
Huge
okay.
expression.
Correct. But you need a topic that people are actually interested in that's kind of different and unique. We're all movie channels. There is no shortage of movie reviews out there. So if you do a movie review, then you're competing against everyone else. If you make the same videos as everyone else, you compete against everyone else. And so you have to find something to stand out. So you need a topic that is interesting enough that like tickles people's brains a little bit, but also isn't so weird and crazy that people have no idea what it is. Like sometimes people pitch something to me and I look at it and I go, that's kind of interesting, but it took you 2 paragraphs to explain it to me. So that's probably not going to work. So you need a topic that people are actually interested in. You need a title that catches people's attention, tickles their brain, creates an itch that only the video can scratch. Like you have to find that way to create that little thing in their head. And then the third one, you need a thumbnail that entices them, those screaming faces or whatever, that a topic that's interesting, a title that catches their attention, and a thumbnail that when someone's scrolling through all those videos that are recommended, you see it and you go, oh, that one. You pause and you look at it real quick. Like you mentioned you had some stuff recently where you've been adjusting your thumbnails.
Yeah, so you got to think of your titles and your thumbnails especially as like a sales pitch. So you have millions of videos, you got to sell them. Why are you going to click on mine? And the thumbnail, most underrated of all of them, because that's just the image. Not many people scroll and look at the titles, or they open read more. They just look at the picture and say, is that picture cool? Do I want to click on it? And so something that I started doing for a long time, it was just picture of me, some form of movie graphic, and then the word movie review. And I started changing it up to where I did a variation of that, but I also put some kind of a text statement to tickle the brain, to either give a hint at where I'm going in the review or make some kind of a comedic joke that's going to make somebody laugh and curious where I'm going to go with that. So Infinity Pool, I don't know how many people saw that this year. Really weird out there film.
I took my family to go see it.
Awesome life decision.
I'm a great father.
And so you have a picture of me, you have the people from Infinity Pool, and then in big text, bodily fluids everywhere. Sounds like something that you want to click on to find out which bodily fluids and why are they everywhere.
Speaking of topics, titles, things like that, I know for me, a couple years back, Space Jam Legacy trailer drops. I watch it with my kids. Right below it, there's a thumbnail, and it says like every face in this explained or whatever. I don't remember what it is, but I know the guy that made the video, and I saw it and I went, oh, I got to see that. Every single character in this trailer, this guy right over here made a thumbnail that I saw it, and my family was like, we have to watch that right now because he did the work that I wasn't willing to do to research all these people. So you can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so thumbnails are obviously very important. I make all my thumbnails on my phone. I have an app. Yep.
You do all your thumbnails?
All my thumbnails on my phone. Technology is so helpful, guys. My editing skills, so basic, okay? You might watch my videos and think I'm awesome. I just know very little. And also, because creativity...
What app are you using?
Bizarre. I was showing John.
Oh, I'm an old man, so I still make my thumbnails on Photoshop for 5 hours. And last
I
night...
use Microsoft Paint. Is there something new you can use?
Chris last night spent 2 hours showing me how this app works, and I still don't know how it works.
It's really not that hard, trust me. But either way, on that topic of creativity, something that I saw Sean mention on Twitter once is AI. There's ChatGPT.
Yep.
Put in your keywords if you're stuck. Say, okay, so I don't know, something movie review, and you can tell ChatGPT to give you 10 variations of a title. AI is getting good, man. That is actually something useful for you if you're stuck.
This is how we get Skynet.
I know, but
you can
use it before they take over.
To linger on that one right there. If you don't, there's all these AIs. ChatGTP. You can just enter in prompts and it'll create content for you. So you can use Adobe Premiere to export the transcript of your video. You can paste it into ChatGTP and you just say, write 10 titles for a video with this transcript. And it'll give you 10 titles. And then you can pick your favorite of the bunch. You can say, write 10 more titles, 10 variations of this title, except add a pun into it. Write 10 variations that are only 40 characters long. It'll do it for you. It's crazy, but if you're trying to come up with topics, come up with 10 YouTube topic ideas for a video about what they could do to remake Chucky in the future. And it'll do it. There's all this technology that will now do the work for you if you just allow it to. This side of the table, you had any more growth tips for us?
You go first, Austin.
Well, YouTube is always changing. It doesn't stay the same. So if it changes and you don't change, you're going to get left in the dust, right? So when it comes to new topics, new ideas, but also now there are YouTube Shorts. There is TikTok. And if you are afraid to expand to those other territories, well, then you may get left behind. So taking advantage of those new things that YouTube's introducing other platforms to reach other people, new audiences creatively, I think that's really important as a content creator. Don't be afraid to branch out and try something new.
In right now, this year, shorts are the shortest path to growth in 2023.
Yes.
You can create more of them in less time, and YouTube wants that to take off. They want to compete with TikTok, so they're promoting them like crazy, just cranking them out to people. That is the shortest path to growth in 2023.
Yeah.
You know, you've had a lot of success over there if you want to talk about that.
So with shorts on YouTube, that is a valuable tool if you're someone wanting to grow on YouTube. It took me 4.5 years to get my silver play button. With YouTube Shorts now, I see people getting that silver play button in 6 months, 3 months, just by being consistently posting 30-second videos. I found some growth on TikTok. I'm still trying YouTube Shorts, but TikTok is also very valuable for exposure. You're not going to find financial success on TikTok, but the ability to reach someone you never would have found your video by searching it on YouTube, that's where TikTok is useful. Now, the big problem is getting them to jump from platform to platform, because I have more subscribers on TikTok and they don't care to come over to YouTube to watch a 10-minute version of what I'm talking on TikTok. But still, just that exposure, having your face seen out there, becoming someone recognizable, associated with movies, TikTok can be valuable in that, as long with shorts.
So I'm like on the reverse problem of that. I've got, 240,000 subscribers on YouTube. I can't figure out how to get growth on TikTok. My old man brain doesn't understand vertical videos and short form content. It's just, my brain goes wild when I try and do any of it. It's like, you guys don't want me to talk for a long time. You don't want my expanded thoughts on everything. So I'm trying to figure it out. So if you've got any advice for me.
It's such opposite advice, because to grow on YouTube long form, you need your personality to shine in your videos. They need to build a relationship with you and be like, I like you and I want to hear your specific opinion on this movie. On TikTok, it's hard to let your personality grow, because any half a second fluff or spew in between a word, that's someone scrolling. And you need to have their attention at every second. You can't slip up. So with TikTok, it's almost you have to hide your personality, share your information, and then dip out before they scroll over.
Is that true? You have to post 3 videos today if you really want to take TikTok seriously?
I try to, and it's so weird that I can make 8 10-minute videos on YouTube easily, but 30-second 3 TikTok videos are exhausting and hard to make. And unfortunately, that is what you have to do.
Oh, you're exhausting me just hearing that coming from you. John, you said you had a little bit more.
Well, yeah. One last thing I'd like to add is, say as I do, don't do what I'm doing, and that's stay consistent. I'm guilty of this. There's been long periods where I've taken breaks. I got burnt out, and I've noticed a strong dip every time I've done it, and then you have to rebuild for 6 months to catch back up. So stay consistent, keep feeding the beast. Content is king now, especially with uploading 17 videos a day on TikTok.
Woo!
That to me, that makes me want to go lay down in the fetal position and cry. No way.
All right, let's move on to our next subject on here. What are the biggest mistakes that we've seen people making? Like, we've been doing this for a while, and there's things that you just see and you go, oh, I wish I could tell you this thing is what's holding you back. Or you see someone do something and you go, oh, that's not what you need to do. What comes to mind when I mention that?
So one is equipment, okay? You think you need a YouTube channel, you need to have a space that looks like your favorite creators. I'm very proud of my set. I love the way my set looks. But if you go back to my earliest video, film that on an iPhone in my crappy studio apartment with like maybe one statue I could afford at the time in the background. But as long as you're posting, you can grow that. So don't worry about having the most expensive equipment, because then you'll put yourself in debt and turn it into something that you'll regret spending money on. I see a lot of you with iPhones. Those cameras are getting so good every year. They're starting to compete with DSLRs. Just your iPhone is good enough to start with. Don't spend too much money on equipment.
And there's so many contexts where I would rather use my phone than other cameras that I have. Like even right now, I've got a camera right there filming this, and that will look better than if I tried to bring my $2,000 camera and lens and everything like that, because it's just designed really well to adjust to new rooms. So almost all of you have a fantastic 4K camera in your pocket. You just have to make sure you get good audio, but that is a great camera right there in your pocket. I'm old enough that I just remember all the VHS tape cameras that just look horrendous. And now a phone, it's, you know, like a little extra thing on your phone, has a 4K camera that can shoot true slow-mo. And most of them have zoom lenses, wide angle lenses. It's crazy. Start with what you have. Definitely don't go into debt, because that getting equipment, you've probably already got something great right there in your pocket.
Yeah.
What's something come to mind for you?
Well, first of all, as far as equipment, if you want to be really cheap but creative, use a green screen, because you can put whatever you want behind you using Photoshop. But beyond that, yeah, the biggest mistake that I've learned throughout my entire YouTube career is don't do too much. So starting off, like we said, you want to do the things that you like on YouTube. Well, I made the mistake of I just want to do everything that I like on YouTube. I want to do a movie show, a video game show, a movie review, a ranking. And so you're putting all your blood, sweat, and tears into covering so many bases that you're not really pleasing anybody. And that's where going into the niche is like the absolute medicine for that. And then even as I started to grow, something that I made a mistake immediately after going full time. When you walk away from a full-time job and you realize that you just work for yourself now, my immediate mindset was, if I don't do a video a day, I'm worthless. And so for probably 4 months, every single day there was a video. Every week I'd plan out, and even if there wasn't anything relevant to talk about, I would make up something to fill Tuesday. And I realized that while I'm producing a ton of content, I'm not really putting a ton of blood, sweat, and tears or passion into each individual video. There might be 2 videos that week that could have been great, that were just good, because I needed to move on to Wednesday and Thursday. And so focus on making every video as good as it can be within reason, but don't just try to do as much as humanly possible.
And focus on quality over quantity.
Yes.
Like we know people that they're just so dead set on covering everything daily, trying everything that everyone's doing. They just
Get it
crank
out
out so
immediately.
much. Yeah, we have to get it out first, as fast as I can. And because of that, they don't offer value. You think if you want your channel to grow, you have to have something about, you're asking for people's time. You're asking them to give up what they could be doing anything else, watching someone else, to watch your video. You're asking for their time, the thing that nobody can get more of. You have to deliver value. Is it entertaining? Is it useful? Do you offer a perspective? And if you're just mumbling stuff without having quality, whatever your topic is, you know, all of our examples are movie stuff, because we're all movie people, because I know movie people, so that's who I could recruit. But whatever your thing is, you have to actually offer value. That is so key, is finding a way to do that, not just cranking stuff out, making a great impression. Whenever someone clicks on it, earning for them to stick around to the end.
And if you burn yourself out, it's okay to take a break. That's one thing I found when I started reviewing Netflix shows, and now there's 17,000 streaming services. I watch a 10-hour show, and I don't like it, but I have to keep watching it because I've already committed to reviewing it, and I make the video, and I'm content, right? But sometimes when you do that so many times in a week, you're going to burn yourself out, and I'm like, was it worth my time? So sometimes you need to take a break and allow yourself to kind of get back into it, right? If you're doing it, you obviously have a passion for it, but I believe burning yourself out is possible if you overdo it. So just don't overdo it and take breaks.
Well, I would say right now, there's more competition than ever. Everything is saturated. You could talk about golf clubs and popsicle sticks. There's 18 people doing that right now on YouTube. 10 years ago,
that was my idea.
It was the Wild West. You could do anything and stand out. But right now, if you're going to talk about what everyone else is talking about, and keep in mind, the odds are there's 87 other YouTube channels doing it. Just be unique. Bring a different perspective. And if you're going to say the same thing, do it in an entertaining way that separates yourself from the other person.
Yeah, I think it's also very important to just be able to get feedback from people. And if you're not very self-aware, get people around you that can be self-aware for you. We've known people that just their framing of their videos was crazy as can be, where they never stop to think, like, wait, nobody frames their videos like that. But they keep doing it, and they're not asking for any feedback. So be open to feedback from the right people, not the crazies in the comment section. Not them. They're not. That's not useful. You're probably going to ignore most of that. But people that actually believe in you, that support you, allow them to give you feedback that you don't want to hear, that you don't like, that's uncomfortable. Be open to that so that you can make adjustments and keep tweaking it and have someone that actually cares about you that can say uncomfortable things. All right, last kind of subject we have on here. What are the secrets to longevity? Going long-term, continuing to grow. I'll send this one over to you because I know you've had several times you've reinvented your channel.
I've gone through eras of my channel where, again, Chucky is what helped me pop off, but eventually that Chucky movie had a release in theaters, and then that hype is away. All those followers and people I gained were just going to be uninterested now. But I thought, well, they're obviously horror fans. If they're interested in Chucky, I just started talking about recent horror news. And then I got people excited in news. I started talking about other movie news. And you find something that's already in your niche and you pivot. And again, you have to. You don't want to be like Blockbuster that's like streaming. That's not going to take off. And then you get left in the wind.
I'm Blockbuster.
Something important too is never be afraid to evolve your channel. So part of being self-aware, even if you do everything perfect, which nobody does, you got the perfect thumbnails, perfect titles, your framing's great, your pacing's great, your editing is outstanding. Eventually, perfect is boring. And eventually your audience has seen the same template of success or the same template of your videos for months and months, and it doesn't have the same pizzazz to it. And so change little things, change your thumbnail style, change your background, change the titles or the way that you kind of the cadence of your voice, change little tiny things to keep what you're doing but do it a little differently so that it shows that you're changing, evolving, progressing, something along those lines.
And I'll kind of hop on with what you said in the precursor to what you said in there was, you create your templates, your formats, create templates for what you're doing.
Yeah.
You don't have to make everything from scratch every single time. If you want to have longevity, find ways to make your work easier. Find ways, whether in the video editing software, find the shortcuts to be able to create great content and plan ahead. Like I use Evernote to map everything out. Before the year starts, I look at the whole year, every movie release. I have calendars. I've brainstormed hundreds of videos for the year before the year starts. And I won't do all those videos and movie release dates will change. But to make it possible for me to keep going, I'm always thinking ahead, planning ahead, trying to be prepared for whatever might happen. So like do that hard work, keep learning, keep growing. Even like while traveling here, I was listening to a book on the making of Mad Max Fury Road, just kind of behind the scenes learning how movies are made, just so I have a little bit more insight, a little bit more takes, a little bit more stories to tell when making videos. Just always keep learning, keep growing, find shortcuts, adjust, pivot. What do you got for us?
I just changed my thumbnail style 2 weeks ago, man. I got bored with the font. It's like sometimes you want to continue to innovate, and people are like, why'd you change that? It looked fine. I'm like, I know it looked fine, but I can't stay stagnant. There's something about wanting to grow and wanting to do different things. And even if it's the most minute detail, I think that's okay. So don't be afraid to, and whatever, I know we're movies, whatever topic it is, don't be afraid to take chances, make mistakes. Magic School Bus.
Yeah, throughout the years on YouTube, there's always different phases and different trends. I've tried every different style video I can come up with, and I found what works best for me is being a lazy piece of shit. Stop trying so hard. You don't need to perfect everything. You don't need to be a talking head. If you want to make reviews on your toilet with your iPhone and that works, that might be a unique perspective someone wants to see. I'd like to see it, and just saying it makes me want to go make that concept come to fruition. But the point is, find what you can do every day and you don't hate your life doing it. And for me, I would say recently, I hate editing. I hate it. Can't stand it. So I started doing live streams. And for me, that's the most therapeutic thing I can do on YouTube. And it's been successful.
Yeah. And I think learning what you don't like and how to not do the things that you don't like. But also I'd say finding ways to take breaks. But especially when you start doing this serious and you get traction, it's so easy to get video FOMO. And you're like, oh man, did I miss my opportunity? You have to let that go and create as much as you can, work hard, but give yourself breathing room and take breaks. Like that's, for me, I'm not designed to do that at all.
Neither am I.
And so I just, every day, I got to make a video. I got to keep grinding. You got to learn to, especially with the nature of the internet, where it gives you so much feedback. Like people leaving little goat emojis in my comment section, people calling me a moron. Like it's so extreme and it's so much that it's not healthy. Even the praise, none of it's healthy to just have it all the time.
You mean that clown emoji is a bad thing?
I thought it was a compliment.
I thought
People
they thought it was
love the
funny.
Joker.
Oh,
Hey, we're going to take questions just a second. If you want to walk up, I've seen you all along. If you want to stand right behind the mic, we'll get to that in just a couple minutes. Any final thoughts on
Well,
longevity?
yeah, what works for you? Because like Sean and Cody were saying, they're work hounds, and that's great if that's your personality and that's already who you are. Like John will post 2 videos a month, and he's still a year, 2 videos a month, and he's still full time for the past 13 years on YouTube. Me, whatever video you've seen me post, I thought of that idea 3 hours before it got posted. You don't have to look at that whole calendar year and super prepare yourself unless that's already your personality, the way you tackle work. You can be a lazy person and just go, all right, what's popping today? All right, I'll do that today. Click, and then be you. It'll take off.
And I'm somewhere in the middle. So I have a dry erase calendar right next to where my editing computer is, and I'll map out my month, but it's more of a guideline. There's hard ones that I have to do, but there's a lot of ideas on there where I'm just like, I don't feel like doing that today. Or I'll have a better idea and I'll cross that one out, through another one on. So I'm somewhere in the middle of that.
All right. With that, I think we can take some questions for 5-ish, 10-ish minutes. So first up, we've got Tony Movie Chap. If you want to walk up to the mic there. You've had your hand up this whole time. What did you have for us?
Can you hear me, White?
A little bit.
Can you guys hear me? Hold on.
Just talk nice and loud and into the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Just talk loud.
we hear you.
Okay. So what I was thinking about doing is, like you guys, I kind of made the same mistake before because at first, because I've had a YouTube channel for about maybe about 2 years from now, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to be myself. I didn't want to branch out all the other ones. I didn't want to make this my own, make this my own style, and I don't want to copy everyone else. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to do some movie commentaries. Just in my room, just commentary on movies, just as I'm watching it, just giving my thoughts on it, and just as the movie's going, just giving just me talking through it, just giving my thoughts on the whole thing.
Right. Can you phrase it as a question real quick so we can make sure we can get to a few more?
Yeah. Okay. And so what I want to ask you guys, and what I wanted to ask you guys though is how do you do it though? How do you do movie commentaries without screwing up? Because you guys, when I did my first commentary, it was on the movie Chappie. Yeah. And I didn't know what I was doing. I had my phone it was right here, and it was with me talking. And then as I was editing it, I was like, oh my God, this is terrible.
I can answer that by saying there's no such thing as screwing up in a commentary. The whole point of having a commentary for others to watch is they want your momentary thoughts, slip-ups, whatever happens. That's the whole appeal of it. So whether you're recording it or live streaming it or whatever, just watch the movie. And no matter what thoughts come to your mind or what you decide, you could see a scene. I do it all the time. You see a scene and all of a sudden you want to talk about something that has nothing to do with the movie that you're talking about, but it's fun for those that are watching because they've seen that movie a dozen times and you're what's new about that experience.
So go in with the things you want to say. So make sure you don't miss the most important things. Every time you do a video, every time you do a commentary, you'll get a little bit better at it. So your first one, of course, it's a disaster. All of our first videos were disasters. As he said, your first 100 videos will be a disaster. But the more you do it, the better you'll get, and the better you'll figure out your system. And that's kind of the thing. You need those at-bats. You need the tries to figure out what works for you. But try having a bunch of notes in front of you. All the different things, try them, because it's tough to say what's best for you because we're all different. We're all wired different, but go for it. Create lots of content and you'll get strong. If you work out, you get stronger every time. And that video creation muscle, you got to grow it. If you go real quick, because we got one more we got more people in line who want to ask questions. So if you go quick.
Okay, but what camera do I need? That's it. Do I need any camera or no?
You got a phone?
Got it.
Yeah.
Just use
there you
your
go.
phone.
Yeah, already done.
And
it's an audio commentary, man.
Yeah.
You answered your own question.
And then a good light in front of you.
Yeah.
Lighting, a bad lighting makes a $10,000 camera look bad. Good lighting makes your phone look fantastic.
Yeah, it does.
I grew my YouTube channel using a Logitech 920 webcam, but I had good lighting, so it looked good. So thank you, man, and talk to you afterwards.
What's some good free video editing software?
You might. I have no clue. Might you know?
I used iMovie for the first like 100, but that's a Mac. I'm not
Yeah,
sure what system.
For
you use.
Windows?
Windows, yeah, the Windows Movie Maker, right? Is what it's called.
Yeah, when I was in high
like-
school, I used to make a lot of videos with Movie Maker.
Like the new Windows systems don't come with it. You have to I don't know if there's like an easy way to download it, but you have to like get it off of GitHub, and I'm not sure how to do that.
Just pirate something, man.
Hey,
Premiere sounds good.
Don't promote committing felonies on my YouTube channel. This is being
I'm not a lawyer. That's not legal advice.
Strategically acquire
Unfortunately,
Windows Movie Maker.
I literally have no advice for you. I started editing videos in 2003 with Adobe Premiere. So for 20 years, I've only been using that one. So.
Someone said CapCut, which is what a lot of people use to make
CapCut,
TikToks. I
yes.
think that's a great editing
Yes.
platform, and it's easy because it can be on your phone, and I believe you can do both vertical and landscape. So
Do you
CapCut
know
might be
do you know if it's on Windows? Because I know there's a lot of good editing softwares that are only on your phone.
It should be on there, I think.
Okay. And so say you have all this content on your channel, but you hate it, but everyone who watches it loves it. But you hate it to the point that you want to delete everything. How would you?
Is it in the right direction that you want to grow an audience or not?
No, it's just that you feel that it's so awful, it's just bad content. You don't like it because you feel like
You might just
You
be
should-
too hard on yourself.
I know.
Yeah, I
If
think it
peop-
might be
if
do
people
you have
are-
any advice for that?
I mean, if the audience is loving it, keep doing it. But I mean, also, if you get to a point where you're just not liking what you're doing, you're going to create such a toxic feel for yourself that you do have to like what you do.
It's not that you don't like doing it; it's that you're not proud of it.
Oh.
Just take whatever you're insecure about with those videos, try to do it better, and see if the positive feedback is still there.
Yeah,
If it is, then keep going that direction.
I
I
believe in
don't
you.
delete the embarrassing videos off my channel. I think some of it helps me see how I've grown.
I did delete the loogie off of M. Night Shyamalan.
The video of my son picking his nose, it's still out there to be seen.
All right.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Hello. So you've talked a lot about the kind of the trial and error of finding your niche on your channel. Are there any video formats or topics that you would have wanted to take off that you thought was going to be really great and that you would have wanted to do, but that just didn't work?
I had one called Pitch Wars, where it was a 2-video series. I only got 2 videos in, where I was going to have me and a guest pick a topic, come up with a pitch for a movie, present it, and have the audience in the comment section choose the best one. First one was comic book related. Second one was horror related. Never took off. Something I'd like to revisit, but that was one of the videos I put the most heart and soul into and got the least return.
I've done some stuff on canceled movies. One of the videos took off. The other ones, I spent weeks researching, writing, editing, and it was kind of dead on arrival, which was oh, this is a video that's interesting to me. I'm glad that this now exists in a concise form, and it just wasn't worth it for the amount of time that I put in.
And I'll say, if you have a video concept in mind, hurry up and do it because someone else is going to. Years ago, I had multiple different ideas for ideas. You wait 6 months and it pops up on YouTube and you're like, well, there goes that thought. So
We are just about out of time, so I think we can take one more question. We're going to be right over here to meet, greet, answer questions, all that stuff right over here. We literally all traveled here for the purpose of meeting all of you wonderful people. So we'll be right over there today, as well as the next few days when we have our other panels. You got a final question for us?
Hi, this is a question for all of you. So ranking priority between planning, filming, and editing. How would you rank the importance of each one of those from 1 to 3?
The way I'm wired, I would say that planning is probably most important. It's tough to say on filming and editing because it depends on the style of your videos as well as how talented you are. I have a background in public speaking, so I did I used to be a youth pastor. So I taught to middle schoolers, had to hold their attention for 15 years before I started on YouTube. So my ability to talk in long form is pretty high. Most people don't have 15 years of public speaking going into YouTube. So if you're kind of new to this, editing might be really important, and you can only get a paragraph out, and then you need to be able to edit it all together. But it all kind of depends, like filming and editing really depends on your talent. Like he's talking about doing live streams. So he doesn't like to do editing, so this is least important.
No preparation.
But
Just push record. That's the biggest battle.
Got a big, lively personality, so.
Yeah, to me, so it would be the planning, editing, then filming. I filmed stuff I thought was going to be unmakeable, unwatchable. In that editing room, you can create magic to where it's like, oh, this is actually something fun. People will watch this. So editing can be pretty important.
It depends on the context, because before I was full-time, planning was the biggest because I had a full-time job, 3 kids, a wife that also wants my attention, and so I had to figure out what little chunks of time, Monday through Sunday, I could fit any bit of YouTube work in. Now that I'm full-time, I'd put editing at the top for all the reasons he just said, because I'm kind of naturally, easily getting through a lot of the recording stages, planning. I'm there all day long. This is all I do. And so editing is now where you can make a good video, a great video.
Yeah, I have a tendency to ramble, so editing's very important for me. I make a point, it takes 10 minutes. I narrow it down to about 1 minute. So editing, I would say, is my biggest.
All right. Thank you guys so much for coming out today. It means the world to us. We'd love to meet you right over here. But real quick, before you head on over there, Chuck, if you could come up on stage, if we could grab a selfie with all you guys, if you could squish in real quick so we grab a selfie. Guys on the panel, if we can get right here in front of them.
Good stuff, man.
Okay, we're gonna take a couple of these guys. 1, 2, 3. Everybody hands up. Woo! All right. Cool.
Hello?